But you get this other small mom pops that hires Johnny and Frank in a white van with no windows, and they show up at your house, and you don't know, what are they going to do? They're out here making a mess. Like, who do I call if there's an issue? Like, those are the problems we see with some of the smaller companies out there in the industry. And if they were to do the things the right way, keeping their own employees, trying to build a foundation, trying to build credibility, getting good ratings with the BBB, things that they can do, that's a game changer. You know, one of the things we've done to build our brand is we've installed solar on 5 NFL stadiums, 1 Major League Baseball stadium, 1 college campus. That allows our field energy consultants to have credibility. In today's world, I was talking to a gentleman about door knocking and telemarketing. People don't want to be sold. They don't want you knocking on their door, bothering them while they're cooking food. They don't want you calling them while they're doing homework with their kid, harassing them, just blowing up their phone. That's not what they want. It's 2021. You have to be able to empower them to make a decision. One thing we do is, it's how we digital market. We are the kings and queens of digital marketing in all the states we're in. Anything solar in the state that we're in, it's Power Home, I assure you. We spend $10 million plus on advertising and lead gen for Power Home Solar a month. That allows us to be at the top everywhere in the states we're in. But what that empowers a consumer to do is to read about solar, educate themselves, and then raise their hand and fill out a form if they want to learn more information. That's where our company comes in. They say, I'd like to learn more information. So then they talk to one of our SDAs who qualifies the home, and then we're able to get their power bills. We're able to do a preliminary proposal, a preliminary design, and we send one of our field energy consultants out to go see them. And in some cases, consumers don't want to talk to anybody. They're able to self-book. They answer their own questions and then self-book. Or they don't want to answer the phone. They want to have text messaging. Technology's evolving. People want less attention where you're bothering their space. And so my advice to those out there that are running a company or recruiting for people in solar is find a way to educate consumers. Find a way to get these other companies to empower consumers to make decisions. Because that's the companies that flourish. You can't sell anything. You can't force anybody to do anything. People have cell phones. They get information instantly. So there's no reason for you to knock a door and bother them. They're going to look you up in 2 seconds and know if they want to do it or not. There's nothing you can say or do to change that. But if you have the information out there, you're marketing the right way, whether it be TV, whether it be radio, billboard, digital platforms, social media, whatever your gamut is to pick and to address consumable marketplace, those leads that come in, those folks, you don't want to try to oversell them. You don't want to promise something you can't deliver on. They're asking questions, they want information. You want to be able to educate them on how solar works, how it can benefit them, what the return is, why is it important. Always ask them what their hot buttons are. Are they wanting to go green? Do they not like their utility company? Are they trying to get a fixed payment? Are they trying to reduce their payments in the future? What is their hot button? And that's where we come in. We kind of try to let the consumer tell us, and then we go over all of that with them. If you get an opportunity to fill out a form, and you know, you can talk to our team as well and let them pitch you solar. I mean, you can go to powerhome.com, you fill out a form, you can go through the process and say, oh, that was easy, or oh, I didn't like that. You know, we'd love feedback on that every time. We do surveys all the time out there to see how we can get better. And we don't know everything. We're learning as we grow as well in an industry that is new and exploding, and we're excited about. But you can fill out a form and see what that process is like, right? I encourage you to do that. You can visit powerhome.com/careers and see all the opportunity that's there. One thing that's really cool about our company that we do that I believe in personally, you know, being in corporate America a few times and not being promoted because I didn't have the education or my age, right? Things that handcuffed me from growing to be the person I wanted to be is what inspired and motivated me to become an entrepreneur, to kind of make my own map, to run my own show, right? And I'm a big believer, if I don't attempt something, I don't try something, I don't want to live in regret because I didn't do it. So maybe you're out there and you're like, hey, I'm stuck in this job, maybe I'll do this. Well, you choose in your life. It's either day one or one day. And if it's one day, it'll probably never happen. But if today's day one, then you can start that process now. And for me, when I opened up became an entrepreneur and did this, when I was in corporate America, I felt like I was handcuffed, and I told you I felt like a caged animal. I couldn't grow into what I wanted to be. So I made sure that our business was different, that in the sales end or field energy consultant end and on the production end, that we would grow within. What's that mean? That means from our directors down to our regionals, down to our project managers, district managers, assistant district managers, crew leads, everyone is started at the bottom. We don't hire externally to be a leader in our company unless it's like customer service, HR, electricians because they got to be licensed. It's a little different. But on the install end where we have 400 plus installers, and on the field energy consultant end where we're almost at 500 energy consultants, all of the leadership managers and team on each side of that, which is like 75 or 80 people up, they all started at the bottom. It doesn't matter if they're here 3 months or they're here 3 years, there's always opportunity for them to move up. I'm a big believer in that because then you got respect for who you work for because they've done your job. And they've got respect for what you're doing because they've done the job. And that's how we've been able to build so well. We got a regional manager or a director that started at the bottom, done all of those jobs, he understands it. 2 things. 1, he understands there's no nonsense, he knows what goes on in the job. But 2, he understands how hard it can be because he or she have done the job. It just makes it a lot better. That's kind of part of our culture, which makes it exciting because you can really see the employment opportunity grow. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, female, male, tall, skinny, short, fat, doesn't matter. If you can produce, you're a positive person, you're high energy, you want to be a leader in our company, you move up. That's how it works. We don't pick and choose from people on the outside, we grow within. That's what I love about our company. We do that. And I encourage, people, if you're running a business or you're recruiting, understand that that's the coolest thing. You don't get that in corporate America. It's like, where did you go to college? What is that? I don't like any of that. I like people to put their money where their mouth is, do the work, and then elevate. Now, the struggle with doing this sometimes is they're not the best leaders. They can be the best salesperson, best installer, but they're not the best leader. And that's why our training development center is so important to give them the qualities and skill sets to be a better leader. How to manage KPIs, which are key performance indicators, how to hold people accountable, how to host a meeting, how to inspire and motivate their team, how to do an 80-20 rule, which is a rule we kind of live by where we keep 80% of our staff and we're always churning or replacing the bottom 20%, right? We teach them on how to be that. I didn't know how to be a CEO when I became a CEO. I didn't know, I talk about this all the time, 3-4 years ago, I didn't know what EBITDA meant. Now we're getting ready to do, $750 million in revenue this year, over $1 billion industry, talking about going public. And I've learned a lot, but I'm able to set my ego aside, have some humility and say, hey, I don't know that, show me, teach me. Surround myself with smart people that are smarter than me in different aspects that can elevate me and I can elevate them. And see, a lot of people when they're running a business or they're in a job, their ego gets in their way. Their ego is worn on their chest and it just limits their capabilities. You don't need an ego in life. You can learn from anybody, whether they're beneath you, next to you, above you, it doesn't matter. You can learn from people. And in our business, we learn every day from each other. We've got an all-star team. Everybody, I believe life and business are like a puzzle. Everybody kind of fits in. We've got a cool CFO that I didn't know all EBITDA. He explained EBITDA now, I know. And if you don't know, Google it. It's hard to explain. But he explained it pretty well. We've got a chief legal officer, handles all the compliance and growth because we're 2,400 employees strong, right? We've got a president we brought in because we were in waters I wasn't used to. Kevin wasn't used to. I'm like, dude, I don't want to ever let my team down because I think I know it all. I don't know it all. See, the cool thing about life and running a business or being part of our company and hopefully other companies out there is when somebody thinks that they have to be great at everything, they're not really great at all. You only have to be great at a couple things and utilize those strengths to make a difference, to put a dent in the universe, to push people and elevate people. But surround yourself with people who are great at the things that you lack so you can be a great team. And that's kind of what we have at Power Home Solar. We have a great team. We have great culture. We're part of that movement I mentioned earlier, right? That BAM. We get excited about what we do. We get excited about getting consumers energy independence. We get excited about taking customers from the big bad utility company. We get excited about that. We get excited about putting solar on an NFL stadium or a baseball stadium. We get excited about seeing our employees grow from a field energy consultant to an assistant district manager to district manager to regional to director and them get married, buy a home, have kids. You see an installer start as an installer, become a crew lead, become an apprentice, become a project manager, become a district manager, become a regional, become a director. Watching them buy a home, buy a car, travel on vacations they've never done before. That's why I do what I do. I do it for the consumers in making the difference of energy independence, and I do it for our employees because they get to live a better life and be a part of something great. And that's the most exciting stories we ever hear is these folks that have been promoted and get to do big things are people making more money than they've ever made. And that's the opportunity we have here with the Solar Summit of you're looking for a career, you're looking for a home. Well, it's a mutual thing. You got to make sure that you want it. You got to make sure that you're hungry. You want to be part of something big and great. And not everything's going to be given to you. You got to earn it. That's how our company's built. And that's the respect that we all have for each other as we continue to grow. Now, nobody's perfect. Every company has its own bumps. We grew too fast. Sometimes that's a bump. But we're excited about what we're doing. You know, this year alone, I think we opened up 6 new markets. We plan on opening 6 more coming up. We're going into Florida in Q1. We're looking at San Antonio, Texas in Q2. Arkansas in Q3. Like, we're opening up all over the United States. And we're super excited about the opportunity for people to come in here and be part of this movement, to be an installer, to be an electrician, to be a field energy consultant, to make a difference in life in what you're doing and feel good when you go to sleep. And I always say this, fulfillment isn't how much money you have or how successful you are in business and what your title is. Fulfillment means you're successful because you're fulfilled inside, right? And success is fulfillment to me. And so what is your why? What is your fulfillment? If you like what you're doing, that's great, then you should continue to do it. But if you don't, then you should ask yourself, what makes you happy? What makes you fulfilled? I know some of the most successful people in the world don't make a lot of money, but they're as happy as can be, and that's success, is being fulfilled. It's not about title, it's not about money. And I always tell people, you can't chase money, you can't just flip-flop jobs because of more money. There's a lot of money and opportunity in the business that we're in the solar industry, but there's also the why. The why do we do this? Why do we use American-made panels? Why do we offer battery and storage? Why do we offer energy independence? Why do we grow the way we grow? Why do we have the consumers be part of this movement? Why do we partner with NFL teams? Why do we do these cool commercials with the NFL legends and Hall of Famers? I mean, because they all get it. Everybody understands where this movement is going. So you're either going to be on the train or you're going to watch the train go by. And my last words to you is, look, I'm a big believer in unicorns, and they only come by a couple times. And when that unicorn comes by, you jump on it and you ride it, because if you don't, you will have regret for the rest of your life. You'll ask yourself, why didn't I do that? I should have, I could have. How many people you know say, I should have done this, I could have done this, I wanted to do that, I wish I would have done that. I never want to be that person. I watched my old man, he was a blue-collar AT&T worker, get transferred from Arizona to North Carolina. And he had an opportunity to open up his own business with his friend. And he said no, because he was worried about my brother and sister having asthma, and he stayed with AT&T, not making much, to try to retire and get a BS package. We moved to North Carolina, lived in a trailer park, and that was rough as it is. He's working 2 jobs. My mom's a cake decorator, middle of the night. I'm helping him deliver papers. It was hard. But what I learned when he didn't do it is I learned that he played it safe. He played to not win. I play to win. People at Power Home play to win because we want to win. We want to do what we can, the best that we can do it. We're not going to sit on the sidelines and watch somebody else do it. We want to be a part of that. So I tell you now, if there's an opportunity for you, even if it's not with us or in solar, and you see that unicorn come by, you got to try. Because if you don't get the results, that's not failure, that's learning. But if you don't attempt it at all, you'll live with that regret for the rest of your life. And nobody wants to go, oh, I should have joined that industry or that company. Look at them now, they're public and all this stock, and I could have been a millionaire. You see those stories all the time. When opportunity is there, the unicorn's in front of you, you got to ride it. And that's all I got. Bam! Am I answering questions? Okay.
Just ask, because I had a question from the media, and I know you touched on this, but maybe you can just summarize it. And, you hired over 1,500 employees since COVID, when so many people, businesses suffered, have not been able to. Obviously, we're in a challenging work climate right now. What do you attribute that to? I know you've spoken about
Yeah.
your book and the principles in your book.
Yeah.
So what do you attribute that to? Because that's a huge accomplishment for your business.
And I'll reiterate the question. The question is, we hired over 1,500 people since COVID, and a lot of companies are struggling hiring employees. What did we do different? What do we attribute it to? First of all, we had some executive calls that got really heated. I mean, if we'd have lived closer, there'd have probably been some punches thrown, but everyone kind of lived in a different spot. We're on the phone, COVID's running around. We're on the phone with attorneys. We're on the phone with state legislators. We're on the phone with health departments. Everybody, late February, early March, that's what everybody was dealing with, right? And we were deciding, are we going to stay open or are we going to close? I mean, it was a heated conversation. I never throw those under the bus, the executives that leaned one way and those that leaned the other way, because that's just a private matter. But it got a little heated, and it was the day after GM, their executives lowered their pay to stay open. And I was inspired by that. And so I told our team, we're essential service because we offer battery and storage, and we offer power. We give people power to their home. We're essential, right? I was worried. I have a kid with autoimmune deficiency, right? I have high red blood cells. I was worried, ooh, this COVID thing's this could be bad. And I was nervous. And everyone's fear is different. I could have a certain fear, you could have less fear. Everybody's different. You can't judge somebody by their fear or their experiences. So I told the team, I said, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go off pay indefinitely, which ended up being 4 or 5 or 6 months. It was a long time. All the executives are off pay. And I got to look at it. I said, that's what we're going to do. Should have saved your money. We're not getting paid for 5 or 6 months. We had this conversation and we elected to go off pay, but we wanted to tell our team that. Because we didn't want the perception that we were staying open out of greed. We wanted the perception that, look, if Lucy, who's a customer service agent, has to buy formula and diapers for her kids, and this is before any kind of unemployment came out, and we were at 800 employees, so we weren't getting anything anyways. But when all this started, it was like, what are we going to do for our people? So Lucy, who needs to buy diapers and formula, I wanted to give her a safe place to provide for her family. Mike, who installs solar, has to pay his power bill, hopefully a solar bill. I wanted to give him a place to be able to provide for his family. And as long as consumers were still interested, and as long as people still wanted to have solar, which it really took off because power outages were crazy, more people were home, they wanted to find a way to reduce their energy, we kind of exploded. But what that allowed us to do, it allowed our team to become Power Home strong. That we told people, look, if you're scared, stay home. We'll pay you your PTO and your vacation. After that, you'll be inactive, keep your benefits. We'll put you on pause until you're ready to come back. Because we didn't know how long this would last. But we weren't going to shut down. And when we announced that we were going off pay to do that, we all of a sudden had sales directors and other directors in our company and sales managers say, hey, we would like to forfeit some of our commission and bonuses to pay those who get sick that we have to shut down. I mean, we all got teary-eyed, like, what? So we carved that out. And we did that. We had 2 or 3 locations that we had to shut it down for 2 weeks. But we kept them on payroll because we were able to not pay ourselves, and some of the other employees gave back to the other employees. And so when we empowered our team to really be a team, to be a family, it really worked out. And I think because of that, because we're an open company and we tell our employees what's going on, we involve them in things, we're very passionate and family oriented. I think that helped us, Cindy, to do that, as well as, we doubled down on the marketing. We saw an opportunity. When there's problems, you have to look for opportunities. You can't run from problems and stick your head in the sand and crawl in a hole and say the world's ending. You have to look at how to get through it. And to me, I looked at it, what can we do here? We have employees that want to stay working. They need to provide. We'll make it safe. We'll get the gloves. We'll get the sanitizer. We'll get anything we needed to do at the time. The masks, everything we were doing. How do we stay open? Well, we doubled down on TV. We had way more commercials because people, what were they doing? They're staring at the TV. So we wanted them to stare at us, offering solar and battery storage. And then they'd call us and go, I'm tired of paying the utility company all this money. How do I get this? So we exploded. We went from 800 employees to now near 2,400 employees. And that's how we did that, is we were really upfront with our employees, how we were going to do this. We were able to sacrifice and give back to the team. And others stepped up to do it, which we didn't ask them to do. We only allowed them to do it 1 month. And we're like, guys, we got this. Calm down. But everybody wanted to give back. And that's kind of the culture that we built at Power Home that I think a lot of companies still lack.
Okay, we have a question from Douglas Bentley. I'm going to give him the floor.
Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
So my question is a little bit about my story. I was the 911 director of DeKalb in Atlanta, Georgia, DeKalb County 911. I've worked as a police officer for 26 years. In February, I suffered an ischemic stroke, which was devastating, and survived it and came back and worked hard and won 8 national awards through the Association for Public Safety Communication Officials. And I got back from that conference in San Antonio this year and was told I wasn't good enough. And I said, you know what? I'll go ahead and retire right now. And I retired, bought a Tesla, created 2 new businesses, and just signed a contract with Power Home to put a solar panel on my roof, knocked down 13 trees yesterday in my backyard, and I'm here. And my question is, very simply, I want my subdivision to be the first subdivision in the state of Georgia that has a solar farm that helps to power or reduce the payments for everyone's home in this HOA in Atlanta, in Georgia, and be the first one in the state of Georgia that's done that. This weekend I drove on down to Jacksonville to visit some Air Force friends, and I saw a solar farm in Perry, Georgia, and I said, how come that can't be us? Why can't we be the first subdivision in the state of Georgia that has everyone subsidized through the solar farm that has been invested in by the HOA?
Well, first of all, thank you for your service with the law enforcement. And thank you for being a customer. I really appreciate that as well. Thank you for entrusting us to be your solar provider. That's a great question. I would love to see that too. I'd love to see that in a lot of communities. We could talk to the HOA. We've gone down this road a few times. But the HOA can only control what's powered in the common area, right? So your parks, your pools, clubhouses, things like that. They can't push or predict or force any homeowner to do that. Now, collectively, depending on what the size of the neighborhood is, you could get all homeowners to do something like that and create like an LLC and be able to put the solar on there and it's buying it back and selling it, or talk all them into getting solar. One thing that after a community is built, it's harder to do that because a lot of the HOA's stuck in their ways and we're not sure if we can do that. We can't force Johnny here who doesn't want solar to do things. We can continue to talk to you. You can reach out to our team and your HOA and see if there's opportunity. But we've talked to several developers while they're pre-building the homes. They're like, hey, I want my neighborhood to be the first green home in America, the first green neighborhood in America. I think one in Traverse City was the first one, but now there's one in Austin. They're starting to pop up. And there's opportunity there because then we can, there's not a lot of pre-wiring going on, but we can predetermine who and what, based on the roof size, is getting what panels and throw it into the cost of buying the home. So instead of paying a power bill monthly, they're able to finance that solar on a 30-year mortgage. The payments are very, very small. So they're actually saving money what they would have paid in power, and it adds value to the home. And we could do that, or we could do it in a neighborhood and then tie it to those folks as well. That we've talked about. After they're built, that's where you kind of get the politics of, can you get everybody to approve it? If you can, there is an opportunity to do it. Just depends on the utility company. I'd have to see how Georgia Power is to be a reseller or to categorize an LLC to do something like that. But there is opportunity there. I love the aspirations to want to do that. I'd love to see that too. I think that's a game changer. Not everybody would be off grid if we did something like that. But what would be cool is everybody would have X amount of power included in their mortgage for free. And then they can go on and say, you know, we're a green neighborhood. You know, this is what we're about. And that adds value to the home, but it also adds a sense of love to the community for everybody to bond together. But great question.
So we're a tight community. I spoke to the HOA president who's up for re-election in January. I said I want in. I've just retired. I've got time. And he said he's interested and he wants for Power Home to submit a presentation in order to present that to the board. And I'll knock on every door in my community to make sure that we can try to get this done. I'm committed to that.
I appreciate that.
And I'd like the opportunity.
Yeah, so Roger, can you get his information? Let's get him in touch with Matt Stavis, who's over our commercial side, and see what we can do. I'm sure we can work something out. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Sure, very good.
Any other questions?
Any other questions online? Did anyone have a question?
I hope I explained solar pretty good for everybody. The whole goal of this summit was to understand how solar works and where my mind is of what we see happening and how our company is built and how things look, right? So to kind of have the inside of how we've evolved. And because solar sometimes had a bad name out there, and it's had a bad name because these you get the utility scale solar where a big company like Microsoft or Google will build a huge solar farm and then leave, and they just did it to hide tax credits, right? They didn't really add jobs, didn't do anything. That's been manipulated over the years, yes. But residential rooftop solar, that's empowering homeowners to have energy independence at some capacity, which is a good feeling for them. Because I've never met anybody that says, I really love the utility company. Like, it just doesn't happen. So we give them somewhat of a choice.
Can you tell us about the switch to American made?
Yeah, so in 2017, when President Trump at the time was going to up the tariffs out of China, and most of the panels, back then it was like 99% of the panels, came from Asia. We were buying Canadian panels at the time, but some of those wafers were still made in Asia. And we made a fundamental change at the top level where I came to my team and said, look, we're going to switch to American-made panels. And they were like, what? And I said, look, I know it costs more, and we're going to roll that to the customer because it's a better product, it's a longer warranty, and I think people will be happy that the panels are made here in America. And there was only 2 plants making panels at the time in America when we did this in 2017. Literally the next month we doubled in size. So what we saw is that the people that are buying solar, they really want energy independence and they're all about American made. We didn't really realize that till we switched. And then we said, wow. And now a lot of companies, now there's like 40 panel companies in the US, tons of jobs added that brought a lot of that work here. And that gives us, we're able to have them bid on the business and be able to bring costs down. But it's worth it, if you're paying a little bit more, but you're getting a better product that's made here with a longer warranty. Customer doesn't care. They feel good about that. They don't feel good about just throwing some random panels from Asia on there. You're not sure about the warranty, and that's kind of what most of solar was, especially in utility scale, for a long time. It's starting to change. We were happy to pioneer and be one of the first companies to do that, and now you're seeing a lot of that happen. And I attribute it's really just a way to not only market but to resurrect with the consumers out there of how important this is, right? And when you say American-made panels, it really does make them happy because it separates you from somebody else. So great question. That's why we did it. We saw the tariffs. We were going to have to pay more anyways, so we went with the higher version with the American-made, and it was a game changer for us.
We have probably almost 100 people that registered for the job fair
Okay.
portion of this. So if you could give them a little words of wisdom,
Yeah.
just because they're here, we're going to, when we wrap up, they're going to go back into the job fair and probably talk to some of the recruiters that you have there. So maybe you could just give them some tips from the CEO of Solar.
Yeah, so Cindy asked me to give tips to those that are the applicants out there. They're going to be talking to the recruiters on the job fair after this event. And I would say, look, everything starts with passion and integrity, right? Be passionate about what you want to do and make sure that you can show integrity. That's what we look for. We hire based on personality. And if they're going to fit our culture, we don't hire based on experience. So don't get into the weeds of I've done this and I've done that. Our team understands that that's just a piece of paper. It says you've done a lot of stuff. We don't care, right? What we care about is who you are and why you want to be a part of it. And that's what I would sell yourself on, because those are the people that we hire that stick. Those people that are just, I've done this and I want to do that, they have a shelf life. They come in, they go, it doesn't work out. So I would say that if this is something you're passionate about, you want to do it, show that in the interview. And a lot of people are shy, and that's okay, but just tell them, I'm very passionate about this. Just be upfront and honest. Don't brag about your background and about the things you've done in the past. I've told them, I used to make fake resumes for me. I was 17 getting a job at a bank, pretended I was 22. Like, hey, I can do this. Don't ever do this. Don't judge. It's before the internet was real. But you can make a fake resume, and I got jobs I shouldn't have gotten. I made a ton of money. I was like, this is great. I'm a great salesperson. I should have done this. Resumes, to me, they're just not worth the paper on there. What we care about is the person. And the person is who we hire, not their experience. We can teach skill sets. We can't teach a person to be who they are. Thank you.